ranking prestigious title of World Champion of Public Speaking. An accomplished speaker prior to the 2019 championship, Erin also earned second place in the International Speech Contest in 2016. Giving a speech that has come to be known simply as the 57-word title speech, Erin spoke about the power of using a few words in a world that believes more is better. Beverly is also a 5-time speech contest semifinalist and a mock story slam winner. Oddly enough, Erin considers himself to be one of the most introverted people you can meet. Public speaking and storytelling were extroverted activities he never thought he would pursue. However, with hard work, dedication, and a team of invaluable supporters, Erin has become proficient in both skills and has learned to balance his innate introversion with flashes of extroversion. Storytelling and public speaking have not only led Erin to engage audience at Fortune 100 companies such as Vanguard, JP Morgan, Chase, and Wells Fargo, local universities such as Temple, Drexel, and the University of Pennsylvania. But they have also allowed Erin to travel to countries around the world, including Taiwan, Malaysia, India, and the truly foreign land known as Canada. Erin is living proof that the art of communication can have a profound positive effect on the advancement of your professional career and the fulfillment of your life. Please welcome Erin Beverly.
District 66. That reception just now was completely mediocre. Ladies and gentlemen, do you know who I am?
No.
I am Erin Beverly. I am the 2019 World Champion of Public Speaking. But when I introduce now, I want you to go crazy. I want you to go wild. If you were here for my speech earlier today, I want you to act as if we are in church. I want you to go. We'll try it again. I'll introduce myself, and then I just want you to go. So, ladies and gentlemen, the 2019 World Champion of Public Speaking, Erin Beverly. All joking aside, a lot of times I think people take the world champion and world championship of public speaking a little too far. There's sometimes when I go to the Toastmasters convention, somebody will come up to me and say, "Oh my goodness, you're Erin Beverly," and I said, "I know that." But then some people get a little bit weird. For instance, one gentleman, he came up to me and said, "Oh, Erin, you're great. I love your speeches. I dream about you." Oh, but it gets even weirder. On social media, I've had one individual reach out to me and say, "Erin, can you send me a voice message?" I type back, "Why do I want to send you a voice message? I just want to hear your voice." Unfriend. Now, don't get me wrong. I am fully appreciative of the fact that I have won the World Championship of Public Speaking. I mean, how can I not? It is a 6-month-long contest. 6 rounds, 7 if you include the video quarterfinals. Out of 30,000 competitors who competed around the world, I was lucky enough to be selected number 1. That is tremendous. I get this nice big lucite trophy. And for those of you who don't know, lucite is a type of plastic. But saying lucite trophy sounds a lot better than saying plastic trophy. I'm appreciative of the fact that I won the world championship of public speaking, but a lot of people, they look at the championship, they hear the title, but they don't quite know what went into it. And I want to share a story today that sheds a little bit more light into what went into winning the world championship of public speaking, because public speaking never came naturally to me. I hated public speaking. I wanted nothing to do with public speaking. In fact, I was so afraid of public speaking that I would not even want to pick up the telephone and talk to people. So how did I go from not being able to pick up a phone and talk to people to standing in front of 2,000 people at a world championship? It comes down to being a product of growth. I am a product of growth, and at the root of that growth is a mantra that I like to live by. Keep speaking, keep improving, keep moving. I started public speaking at the age of about 6 years old. It was at the time when my mother, who was driving to church one day, church. She had this brilliant idea. She said, Aaron, you, my 6-year-old son, will stand in front of the entire church congregation and read a passage from the Bible. Now, when my mom told me this, I looked at her and I said, shh. Now, for those of you who weren't here, shh basically means bullshh, but much more clean. But no, I'm lying. I did not actually say that to my mother. No, my friends, that would have been stupid. Instead, what I did, I looked at my mom, I crossed my arms, and I told her, no. That was stupid too. Growing up in my household, there were many words that a child was not allowed to say to a parent. One of those words was no. My mom was furious. I'm talking incredible home with furious. In that instance, I was faced with humanity's two greatest fears. Facing that audience and speaking in front of them, that was the fear of public speaking. Facing an angry mother, that was the fear of death. Since I'm still alive, then you know which option I chose. But when that was done, I was thinking three things. I'm glad that's over. I'm never doing that again. I hate public speaking. 9 years later, I'm 15 years old. I'm about to graduate in 8th grade. 8th grade graduation means that the valedictorian has to give a speech in front of all the parents and the teachers and the other students. And I thought, oh, this is great, because I'm not valedictorian. I was not the valedictorian, the first best in the class. I was not the second best in the class. I was not the third best in the class. I was fourth. I have never been happier not being in first place. That is until my teacher, Mr. Zen, oh, he has this brilliant idea. Let's have speeches, he says, from the top 4 students. And I'm sitting in the back of that classroom, hearing them say these words. I'm just like, no, son. The day comes, I complete the speech. I get down from the podium, and I'm thinking 3 things. I'm glad that's over. I'm never doing that again. I hate public speaking. Fast forward 4 years later, I am now a senior in high school. I was not the first best in the class. I was not the 4th best in the class. I was not the 50th best in the class. I was not a very good high school student. My mother wasn't happy, but I was, because that meant no speeches. Oh, but that is until my principal, Mrs. Pelton. She had this brilliant idea. She said, why don't we teach all of the students who are seniors public speaking? And all the teachers are thinking, oh, wow, that's such a good idea. And meanwhile, I'm thinking to myself, senior year comes and goes, I complete speeches. And I'm thinking to myself, again, those same 3 things. I'm glad that's over. I am never doing that again. I hate public speaking. Freshman year in college, guess what class I had to take? Public speaking. Have you ever had a person who really liked you, but you didn't like them back? However, they could not take it in. For me, that was public speaking. I still hated public speaking, but the question is, why did I hate public speaking? The truth of the matter is that I was afraid of public speaking. I was afraid of public speaking, and I didn't quite know why. And public speaking, or the fear of public speaking, is a limitation for a lot of people. But the problem isn't necessarily with the limitation. The problem is when you make that limitation limitless. And in order to find out what it is that is driving your fear, you have to specify. You have to be able to specify what that fear is. So I want you to do a little activity real quick. Just 1 minute. I want you to find a partner, and I just want you to go down the list of the reasons why you fear public speaking and why you think other people fear public speaking. Find your partner and just start talking for the next 1 minute.
Virtual audience, please stand by. They're having a multi-room discussion. We will turn the microphone back on shortly.
Hear out something. Let's start on this side. What did we hear about why do we fear public speaking? Yes.
Because when you're speaking in public, it's magnified in importance 20, 30, 60 more times. And so your stock can climb really very high, or your stock can really crash. And
Oh,
so
yeah.
the impact is, and the stakes are much higher.
The high stakes, absolutely. Yes.
I think one of the reasons, well, a couple of the reasons are they are afraid to fail. They will forget what they have to say,
Ooh,
and all eyes is staring at them, so that failure is magnified. So it is
absolutely,
difficult.
absolutely. So there are 3 things in there. So there's the fear of failure. There is the fact that everybody's looking at you. And there's also forgetting what you want to say. And we will come back to that. How about this side? Is there anything that we have on this side?
We got one, fear of being embarrassed.
Fear of being embarrassed. You get up to shake somebody's hand and then all of a sudden you fall out in your face. That is embarrassing. That can traumatize a person. That can keep somebody from never wanting to speak in public again. It's happened to me.
Mr. Speaker, this is from the virtual realm.
Yes.
One individual says the fear of sounding stupid and not making sense.
I have been there so many times. Absolutely. Anyone else? Yes.
The fear of the crowd not receiving you.
The fear of the crowd not receiving you. So you're giving your heart out, but it doesn't seem to be reaching your audience, or at least not in the way that you anticipated. Now, this exercise is really good because, as I said, the problem is not the limitation itself. The problem is when you make your limitation limitless. And I also like to say, if you don't specify your fear, you are guaranteed to intensify your fear. So this exercise is great because I actually believe that there is no such thing as a fear of public speaking. What we fear is a component of public speaking. For instance, you may be perfectly fine speaking to a large audience. However, you convince that audience, make it a smaller audience, and all of a sudden you feel a little bit more uncomfortable. It becomes a little bit more personal. Or you could be the exact opposite. You're fine speaking to a personal sized audience, but when it expands beyond 10 people, that is when you start to feel butterflies. Or you feel perfectly fine speaking in front of peers. It doesn't matter how many peers, it could be 200 peers, it could be 2 peers, but you put one manager in that audience, and all of a sudden, those butterflies start popping up again. The key is to specify what you fear. And it's really better if you do it in an exercise like we just did and not experience it firsthand like I did. It was my sophomore year in college, and I was a part of this student leadership training program. At the end of this program, there was a graduation of sorts, and every student had a job to fulfill. My role was to give a gift to the keynote speaker and thank him for his time. All I had to say was 3 lines. On behalf of the Student Leadership Training Institute, we would like to thank you for your time today. Please accept this token of appreciation. That was it. I was shaking his hand, I was sitting down. Now, the day comes. The keynote speaker, he finishes speaking. I get up, I shake his hand and I say, on behalf of I completely go blank. And when you mess up on stage, that is when you notice how much time slows down. That is when you notice exactly how many eyes are in the room. It was 15 seconds of the most awkward silence that I have ever experienced. 15 seconds, mind you, where I'm still holding on to this man's hand. He is looking at me as if to say, kid, please say something, it is not that hard. I did. Here. And I sat down. But in that moment, I was finally able to specify what I was fearing. All of that time before, I had been speaking, but I wasn't improving because that fear of public speaking was limiting me. So once I was able to specify the fear, I was able to combat that specific fear. I combated that specific fear by joining Toastmasters. I joined Toastmasters in the year 2009. I have not looked back since, because then I had the opportunity to speak and improve. And once I was able to do that, I began to move. And I kept moving and moving and moving until in 2012, I decided that I was going to compete in the International Speech Contest for the first time. And in 2012, I said, well, win the World Championship of Public Speaking. And I was going to win that World Championship of Public Speaking in my first year. I was going to dominate the competition. I was going to lead the competition in my wake. And it was going to be glorious. I was going to be invited to the White House. I was going to be invited to speak on Oprah. All the celebrities were going to come to me and ask me to be their friend. That's how it was going to happen. I get to the club contest. I dominate the competition. I lead the competition in my wake because I was the only one that competed. But still, I thought that I was going to ride that wave at every single round. So you can imagine my surprise when I get to the area and I placed second. Afterwards, a gentleman came up to me, and his name was John, and John came up to me and he said, "You want to know why you lost?" And I'm thinking to myself when I'm hearing that, dude, you really need to work on the sandwich method. But I control myself and I say, sure, tell me. Now, what he told me was very important. He said, Aaron, you just got up and you preached to the audience. You told them what they needed to do. You didn't tell them why they needed to do it. You didn't tell us a story. You need help. You need to become a better storyteller. I took that note, and that was my lesson in 2012. And that lesson was that sometimes you can't just do it by yourself. You need help. But I said, okay, I'll find a mentor. and I will keep improving, and then I'll keep moving. So I found a mentor in 2013, and I found a great mentor by the name of Philip Abesekwa. Now, for those of you who've been around in Toastmasters for a longer period of time, Philip Abesekwa may sound familiar because he was the 2005-2006 president of Toastmasters International, and he just so happened to be a professor at my college. He was the gentleman that introduced me to Toastmasters. I came into the door with this great mentor and never utilized it, which is a lesson in itself. That sometimes we have great mentors right in front of us, great people that we can get advice from, but we overlook them. So that's just a little bonus right there. I want you to think about people who are in your life that you think you can utilize as a mentor who you can get advice from. They could be sitting right in front of you. A lot of people try to look at the mountaintop, so they think, oh, if I want to compete in the international speech contest, I can just go to a world champion. You don't have to go to the mountaintop. You just need somebody who has been further along than you have been. And that was Philip Abesekwa, former president, and just so happened to be a former finalist in the international speech contest, placing second in 1992. But in addition to that, I also want to talk a little bit about mentor, because you can't just get any mentor. I like to say that there are criteria for having a quality mentor. There are 5. The first the first criteria for quality mentor, they have been where you want to go. A quality mentor has been where you want to go. Second, a quality mentor fits your style, whether that's your personality style, whether that's your speaking style. You want to find somebody that can complement that style. If you have somebody that is totally against who you are as a speaker, you are going to clash. And clashing in a mentor-mentee relationship is never good. Number 3, a quality mentor preaches and practices the fundamentals. They will preach and practice the fundamentals. Number 4, never, ever, ever will a quality mentor tell you that their way is the only way. They will not tell you that their way is the only way. Number 5, they will give you the opportunity, or they will express the importance of being yourself, which we will get to in just a little bit. But when I found Philip as my mentor, Philip taught me the fundamentals of storytelling. He taught me about the fundamentals of speech development. And that very next year, 2013, I went to the semifinals of the World Championship of Public Speaking, after in 2012, not being able to get out of the second round. And again, it was another important lesson that if you keep speaking, keep improving, you will keep moving. Unfortunately, though, I could not move to the championship round that year because there were still some things that I had to learn. What I referred to before, learning how to be yourself. When I was speaking in 2013, my style mimicked Philip's probably a little too much. I was speaking as if I was Philip, not speaking as if I was Aaron. So I had to try to find my own voice. So I had to try to practice. I had to try to test different things out. As a speaker, it is okay to test out different styles, especially if you are a speaker for a long time, you're used to a certain style, push yourself to speak another style. There's no such thing as just having one style of speaking for a single speaker. Now, in 2014, I created a speech. And in my opinion, it was good. It had vocal variety, it had analogy. In fact, the analogy was around the Three Little Pigs story. It was about a boy. He had this dream, and he would build these houses, these metaphorical houses that represented his dreams. And in this analogy, there was a big bad wolf. And with vocal variety, he had a big bad voice like this. He was Cajun. And he would huff, and he would blow out, down. I had fun. But district championship. I won it. And there was another champion in the audience by the name of Randy Harvey. And Randy Harvey told me that, you know what, with that speech, we hear the voice, we hear the story, but I don't think we hear you. And when Randy gave me this advice, I thought to myself, Randy, you don't know what you're talking about. I just won the district championship. I'm going to give this speech in the semifinals, and I'm going to win the championship. I'm going to dominate the competition. I'm going to lead the competition in my wake. I did not get to the championship. I did not place in the semifinals. In fact, when I got on that stage and I gave that speech, it was as if everybody was Randy Harvey and they were all giving me that feedback that we hear the voice, we hear the story, but we don't hear you. But okay, lesson learned. I move on to 2015. In 2015, I decided that I was going to just try to be myself. Tell a simple story about a simple day in life. I did not expect anything to come of it. I thought, okay, my life is boring. I don't do anything. I'll just talk about a bad dating experience, I guess. So I did. I created a speech about a bad dating experience. And it didn't get me past the district that year. And I thought, okay, there's the proof. I can't have a story that is just gonna be about everyday life. But then it was interesting because one gentleman, he came up to me afterwards and said, Aaron, I've heard you speak the last 2 years. That is the best speech I have ever heard you give. The lesson there is that just because you feel that you're not moving to the level that you want, does not mean that you're not improving. So I said, okay, how about we take this to another year? In 2016, instead of throwing that speech away, I decided to keep working on it. A lot of people, a lot of speakers, a lot of contestants, I would say, they will take a speech, and if that speech doesn't work, they just throw it away. But instead of throwing it away, I tweaked it, I refined it. And I made it better. And that year, 2016, the speech that I thought originally wasn't going to get very far, the speech that the prior year couldn't get me out of the district, got me to the World Championship of Public Speaking for the first time. And when I got to the world stage, when I gave the 57-word title speech, I gave that speech, but then something happened. I started focusing a little too much on the goal of winning the World Championship. And my mind started to focus on me and winning the championship instead of focusing it on where it should have been. Where do you think that it should have been? The audience. It was at one point during the speech, I'm talking, and then all of a sudden I tripled my words. And my mind goes to, oh no, I messed up. What are the judges gonna think? Oh no, I messed up again. Oh no, the judges are gonna think this and that and this. And all of a sudden, my mind is not focusing on the right thing. As a speaker, your job is to give a message to the audience. That is the primary goal of the speaker. The contest is great, but the best way to frame the contest is that you have an opportunity to share your message with an audience. What message are you going to share with them? Not what prize are you going to win? So I left the stage with regret because I thought to myself, I did not do the best that I could. And I lived with that regret for another year until I got to 2017, where I said to myself, I'm going to set a different goal where if I get on the stage, I'm going to make sure that I give that speech to the best of my ability. I'm going to leave the stage knowing that there is nothing more that I could have done for that speech at that time. And that's exactly what I did. I got back to the semifinals. I did not make it back to the World Championship. But interestingly enough, I felt good because I left the stage knowing there was nothing more that I could have done. I gave the best speech that I could. I left with more content in 2017, not getting to the world championship, than I did in 2016 when I won second place in the world championship. Then we kept speaking, we kept improving, so we kept moving on to 2018. Now, I thought I had all of these lessons. I had learned everything that I needed to know. It was time for me to win the world championship of public speaking. So once again, I set that goal, win the world championship of public speaking. And that year, I didn't make it to the semifinals. I placed second at district. And it's interesting, we know the right things to say. We know the politically correct answer is that, you know what? You gave it your all, you did your best. There was nothing more that you could have done at that time for that speech. Be content. And that's what I said on the outside, but on the inside, that mantra that I was saying, keep speaking, keep improving, keep moving. I'm regressing now. I went from the world stage, second place, to semifinals, not placing, now second place district. As much as you like to think about things, if you have a goal, you set this dream, if you don't get it time and time again, you really start to doubt yourself. You start to think, well, maybe it's just not meant to be. And I'm not going to lie, I was down for about 6 months after that district championship. But it was around December where I noticed the glimmer of another trophy. You see, that year in 2018, I had competed in another contest. I had never competed in any other Toastmaster contest before. It was for the evaluation contest. And it said, District 38 champion. I had won the evaluation contest in the first year that I tried. Which is interesting because in 2012, my goal was to win the World Championship of Public Speaking the first time I tried. But because I didn't get that specific goal, here I was winning the top prize for the evaluation contest, but yet I couldn't be happy about it because I didn't get this one thing. The lesson that year is just because you are not moving to the goal that you want, doesn't mean that you're not moving in other areas of your life. It doesn't mean that you're not moving with other goals. You have to keep your perspectives, you have to keep things into perspective, or put things into perspective, I should say. Which led us to 2019. And this year, I decided to do something a little bit more different. Every year, I was putting at the top of my goal, win the World Championship of Public Speaking 2012, win the World Championship 2013, win the World Championship 2014, 15, 16, 17, 18. I decided this year, I am not going to make it a goal to win the World Championship of Public Speaking. This year, I'm going to focus on growth. And I made my goals a lot smaller. When it came to the contest, I decided first round is simple. My goal, remember my speech. The next round, start practicing my body movement. Make sure that my body movement matches what I'm saying. And division, I decided to take the parts that weren't working, put in the parts that were working, start to refine and hone the speech. That was the goal. Same thing for the district, refine and hone. And I won the district again, and I got to the video conference, or sorry, the video, what's it called?
Video semifinals?
The video quarterfinals, that's what it's called. The video quarterfinals. And I got through. Then I got back to the semifinals. And I got through again. But throughout the entire time, I'm giving myself the goal to improve that speech. Even when I got to the World Championship stage in 2019, I still did not have a goal to win the World Championship. Now, mind you, I did not say to myself, oh boy, I can't wait to come in second place again. However, I made a goal remembering what I did in 2016. Remembering that I didn't focused on what was most important, giving the message to the audience. So my goal on the world stage in 2019 was to beat the mentality, to beat the person that I was in 2016. And that's what I did. And ironically, the year that I decided to not make it a goal to win the world championship of public speaking was the year that I won the world championship of public speaking. A lot of people ask the question, well, how did winning the world championship of public speaking change you? And we go back to that thought process of it's not really about the championship, it's not really about the title. Because for me, the championship didn't change me. The journey to get to the championship is what changed me. The journey is what made me what I am and who I am. And it all comes back to that mantra. Keep speaking, keep improving, keep moving. Now for you, maybe your goal is to one day win the world championship of public speaking. Maybe your goal is something else. Maybe it's more focused on your career. Maybe it's focused on your personal life, your family. But one thing that I've learned is that communication is the bedrock, it is the foundation of all of the things that we do. It is the foundation, it is one of the foundations of success. So my friends, whether your goal is to win that world championship, whether it's to improve your family, whether it's to improve your work life, keep speaking, keep improving, and keep moving forward and beyond. District 66, it has been a pleasure.
And with District 66, it is our pleasure to present to you Toastmasters International. District 66 Toastmasters hereby presents Darren Beverly with this award in appreciation for your service and support of the District 66 2023 Annual Conference Journey to Success. April 28th, 2023. Now, I would like to have a few minutes before we can start our contest. So let us have